All right, introducing our next speaker. He is someone who has spent more than 3 decades leading transformational growth for global organizations and now dedicates his work to helping leaders and teams punch through their growth ceilings and step into courageous people-first leadership. Rick Denley is a best-selling author of Reinvent Yourself, a champion of developing tomorrow's leaders today. In his philanthropy, Rick is an undefeated amateur boxer and triathlete who has raised significant funds in the fight to end cancer in our lifetime, proving that he's willing to get punched in the face for a good cause, and occasionally one even without one. So, in talking with Rick here before, I kind of said, do you have, obviously all these keynotes, they have their canned presentation, and he goes, boxer. And it just doesn't feel right unless I get the Bruce Buffer welcome. So before we give Rick a big North Dakota round of applause, I'm going to have to absolutely torture you with, at Rick's request, my best impression of Bruce Buffer. For those of you who don't know, you're about to find out. So, ladies and gentlemen, at center stage for your thoughtful consideration, standing at 6'2", weighing a moderate amount for a middle-aged man, helping you make the most of yourself, hailing from Toronto, Canada, Rick the Natural Denley!
Well done, buddy. Well done. Thank you. Excellent introduction, Brian, and thank you all so much. You really punched that up for me, and I appreciate it. Wow, what an introduction. Big introductions are really important, aren't they? Thank you for being here today at the North Dakota Transportation Conference and having me speak to you. This is a great opportunity. Now, the one thing that Brian did not mention in my introduction, I should share with you, because I really want to come clean and be transparent to start with. Amongst the attributes that Brian shared with you, I'm also, good for you to know this for me, that I'm also very much in the program, and as far as engineering goes, I'm also a recovering engineer. So my first degree out of school was indeed engineering. So I thought for today, for a change, for us, I would take my presentation and the story that I want to share with you and take you on a journey, but we're going to start at the end. We're going to reverse engineer this, okay? I know you know that term very well. So we're going to start at the end and then move forward. So speaking of good introductions, I want to share with you the very first time I walked into an arena for my very first bout after I've been training when we're raising funds and awareness for cancer. And it went something like this.
Let up, let up! You hold the line. Every one of them is giving up and giving in. And this house of mine. Nothing ever comes without consequences. God's telling me where the stars align. I have to say the thing when I say so, I say with it. 'Cause this house of mine. Stay strong. Ricky!
All right, that's all I'm going to show you right now, but you might have heard the song by Imagine Dragons called The Natural, a name given to me by my fight coach. And I thought to myself, well, at this entire event, we're talking about becoming legendary. What does it mean to be the very best version of ourselves? And legendary certainly talks to that. That was probably one of my most legendary entrances, and in being called The Natural. But since that was the end of the story, I want to take us back to the actual beginning of the story and start talking about some other areas. First thing to understand is, do we really think that becoming legendary and the best version of ourselves, are we born legendary? How many people think we're just born that way, right out of the chute? Yeah, not a lot of hands, right? Especially from a technical group who know better. No, we know that we can grow into that, and that we can learn and grow. So what I want to know now from you, please, show of hands here. How many people are willing to grow today and going forward? Who wants to grow their career, their businesses, maybe themselves as well? Yeah, I saw a good number of hands, and that's great. That's more than the normal. It's usually 1 in 10 that want to grow, but I saw many more hands out here. So that's a journey I want to take you on today of growth, your personal growth through my adventures as well. Now, the interesting thing about growth is that growth cannot occur without this one element. And it's not an element on the periodic table for the chemistry people that are in here, okay? It's not any type formula that goes forward, but growth needs this one constant. There's 3 constants in the world, isn't there? Death, taxes. Now, I can't do much about death, and taxes I leave to my accountant, like many of you. But this third constant in the world today, has to occur if any growth is going to occur. Do you know what it is? Shout it out. Give me some examples. I heard it down here. Change. I heard it right there. Thank you. No growth can occur without change. We need to change something. If we always did what we always do, then guess what? You're going to get what you always got, aren't you? We need to make a change if we plan to grow and become legendary. How many people love change? 1, 2, liars. Look at the hands of these people. Nobody loves change. I know we're supposed to. We're supposed to like change, embrace change, but nobody does, do we? But I'll tell you why. It's because that prefrontal cortex of the brain that looks after change is only worried about protecting us. And it sees change as a threat. But change isn't a threat. Now, there's only 2 types of change, isn't there? There's self-change, where you get up in the morning, you decide, I'm going to go in this direction. I'm changing something for the better. That self-change is motivational. You stand behind that. You hold yourself accountable. The second type of change is a tough one. That imposed change. Something that comes your way that you didn't ask for, you didn't want, and probably don't like. Probably regulation changes, right, Don? We're going to change all the regulations. You're going to have to re-engineer everything. That's the type of change that we don't like. But here's the good news. We can actually harness change in our favor. And it's the first step of becoming the best version of yourself. There's a little exercise we can do, and I want you to do it with me. How many people have a timepiece on today? How many people wore a watch? Let's see, hands up for me. Good, good. All right, super. Now, I want you to take that watch off. Be careful. Take that watch off, please. And I don't care if it's a Timex, a Rolex, a Patek Philippe, an Apple Watch. No. It's not a timepiece. That is a cry for help. This is a timepiece. Please, take it off your wrist. Hold it up carefully. Come on, do this exercise with me. That's it. And then put it on your other wrist, like that. Don't take a second. Don't drop it. And I see this table over here. Okay, got it done. Great. What did I just do? I just started training and rewiring my brain that change is okay. Nobody died during that exercise, right? Hopefully nobody dropped their expensive watch as well. I want you to do that for 21 days. By the end of that 21 days, what's going to happen? 2 things. Number 1, you're going to be wearing the watch on the other wrist, which is great, but you're going to put it on so efficiently each time because you get better at it. And the second thing you're doing is training your brain. Change is okay, right? That wasn't so severe, so we can move ahead from that. So remember, if you're going to grow, you need to be willing to change. That's the number 1 thing that we have to do. Now, how often does change come your way? How often? Every day? I think so. And even faster now. The pace of change is outgrowing our ability to accept it. That's why we need to be able to change faster and prepare for change. Get ready for it. Don't hide from it. And in becoming our best version of ourselves, we need to be able to change quickly. Okay? People grow, and they don't do it by chance. They do it through change. 4 reasons people change. Think about yours for a minute. When you're hurt enough that you have to. That's 1. When you see others, you get inspired to change. I want to change like that. I want to be like that. Then you think about the fact that you learn enough that says, yeah, I can do this now. I've learned enough about it. I can change going forward. And finally, you receive enough. And that might be information. It might be momentum. Those are the reasons that we actually go ahead and change. And I want you to thrive in the disruption of change going forward. But I will share something with you. That when we think about change and why we change, we have to really have an important why, especially if we're making a major change. If it's a minor change, it's not a big deal. But for a major change, you have to be sure that you understand your why. You have to be passionate about your why. If you're not going to be successful. You're not going to reach that end goal of what the change was set out for. And it might be to run a marathon. It might be to lose 20 pounds. But if you're not passionate about your why, it won't occur for you. So in my story, I want to tell you why I decided to train for months on end and step in the ring as an amateur fighter. And the reason was because of my mom. We had change come the way of my family. That second type I talked about, the one you don't like, the one you didn't want, when she was told that she had aggressive breast cancer. How many people in the room have been negatively impacted by cancer? Show of hands, please. It's way too many hands. Way too many. So one day when I was taking my mom to the hospital and she was going through a chemo treatment, I was wandering the halls and I saw this bulletin board. Old style one. Had the little pull-off tabs on it. You remember those? Little pull-off tabs. So I grabbed one. It said, "Fight to end cancer. Help us end cancer in our lifetime." So I pulled the tab, phoned the number. Next thing I know, I'm in the gym learning about this event of raising funds to fight cancer. And to do it, I had to become an amateur fighter. Now, I like a physical challenge, so I was up for it. But the idea there was that I was so passionate about my why, to end cancer in our lifetime, and of course do something to help my mom, not just sit back. We have to do something, don't we? So that's when I became an amateur fighter. So remember I told you I reverse engineered that? You saw me walking towards the ring for my inaugural fight. Let me take you back to the beginning of the story a bit. Okay, that's a little bit far back. I didn't mean to go that far back. But it's that main question. Are we born legendary? Are we born the best version of ourselves? You said no. You said, no, we can become educated and become better at who we are. My personal thinking is that we, on average, utilize about 70% of who we are. And how do we nudge it up? How do we get to 80? How do we use 90%? How do we be the very best version of ourselves? That was my quest. And in becoming the best version of myself, through this process of becoming an amateur fighter, I learned 3 key things. And that's what I want to share with you today. Because they're things that everybody can use to become better, whether it's better at your job, for your career, for yourself, or in this case, better to help get rid of a nasty disease and save my mom. So the 3 things I'm going to talk about today for you are adaptability, authenticity, and vulnerability. Those 3 things have been proven to be very key in helping us be more successful, in helping us grow as an individual. These are the 3 core skill sets to be worked on. So let's look at them for a minute. Adaptability to start with, okay, is choosing change well before it chooses you. Change can come our way, but we can also help choose the change that we want to see, the direction that we want to take things in. That's being extremely proactive. Okay? We need to be proactive in what we do. Choosing change before it chooses us allows us to help set the direction we want to take. Now, can we really impact the future? Well, if we don't change things, no. If we try to change them, then we certainly can. The other thing we can do with adaptability is proactively step into that discomfort area. Everybody's heard recently the saying that we need to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Well, it's quite true. Make things uncomfortable on occasion. That's being adaptable. The moment that you feel everything's perfect and you're all settled in, that's the time some change is going to come your way that you didn't ask for. And that's going to be a large challenge for you. And finally, with adaptability, intentionally disrupt your routines. Do things differently. I bet every morning you get up and you do the exact same routine, don't you? From the time you get out of bed, to when you brush your teeth, to which sock you pull on first in the morning. Disrupt that a little bit, and you're going to see your brain grow and get used to it. A Harvard-trained psychologist, Dr. Shimi Kang, wrote a book, and it was all about success and happiness. And she interviewed thousands of individuals, from head politicians, business people, sports people, regular people. And this is what she found. The one skill to being successful and happiness as well, is adaptability. You want to be happy the rest of your life? Become very adaptable to situations, and you're going to be happy and successful as well. Now, I want to share something with you here, and I just want you to enjoy this music for a minute when we start talking about the next major topic here.
I figured out where it's at. Let's live our lives behind masks. We'll keep our troubles in silence. I heard it's simple like that. We should stay between the lines. Don't sedated, hypnotized. Soon we'll be paraded to the sky. With common sense out of view, we're taking constant abuse. You wouldn't know 'cause we're smiling. We're happy, what's it to you?
There's this thing that we do every morning when we get up, and it's put on masks. We put on masks that we think people want us to be. Agreeable, professional, and they're changing who we are and taking away our authenticity. I share that song with you proudly because that was written by one of my sons during a very dark time in his life when he was challenged with depression. And the feelings in the lyrics in the song were just that. He felt like he couldn't be himself in our society today. And for those of you that are understanding what I'm talking about here as far as authenticity goes and always being somebody else, it's exhausting, isn't it? To always think that you have to put on this particular mask, this particular face, to shape shift into somebody that you're not on a regular basis. I did it for years. To be the leader that I thought I had to be to my teams, to be the individual I thought I needed to be the parent and partner I thought I had to be. You need to break free from that, especially if you're going to be the most genuine person you can be. And that includes being transparent, as I was earlier with you. Somewhat jokingly, of course, that I'm a recovering engineer, but we need to be transparent and genuine all the time. The next thing you can do regarding authenticity, to bring your most authentic self, which people, by the way, are going to like and they're going to trust much more than the person, the facade that we created within ourselves. Is that you need to align your actions with your values. How many people have done a value exercise? How many people know their personal values? Think about them. What are they? Loyalty, honesty, who knows? Everybody has personal values. I encourage you to do so. There's many online programs you can jump into and just say, okay, help me understand my values and choose them. Because the alignment of your values will help you in so many ways. It'll help you when you're hiring people. You want to align values. It will help you if your company has defined their values. How many companies have defined their values within the company to help build the culture? Okay, I see a few hands. Good for you. Very important leadership exercise is go through and understand the company values so you can hire accordingly as well. And make sure they align with you. If they don't, it's going to be exhausting for you. And you're not going to do well at all with it. So align those actions. And then, to be fully authentic, bring your full self to work every day. Not just the portions you think everybody wants to see. I'll give you an example. I spent many nights in a cold metal hospital chair sitting there bedside with my son when he was going through his depression. I would then get up in the morning, go into the washroom, splash water on my face, tighten up my tie. We all wore ties back then. Do we still wear ties into the office? Not so much. And I'd go into the office. My team, my subordinates, my leaders, nobody knew a thing about what went on the night before because I didn't share, because I didn't think I should. Now, I'm not saying that we have to share every little nuance of our life, But being authentic and genuine and sharing with people does several things. It helps you be the person you want to be. It also allows them to be the person they need to be. Imagine that if you had a leader at work that allowed you to be the person that you needed to be and sharing to a particular level. What sort of trust would that build? A huge amount of trust. So authenticity is important as well as we become our true selves. Then finally, vulnerability. And this is an interesting one because I grew up in a time when vulnerability would be considered being weak. You're not vulnerable. You don't want to be humble. That's weakness. You don't show that. It's just the opposite now, especially with the up-and-coming generations. Being vulnerable is so important to opening up to them. And here's some ways that you can be vulnerable without feeling too much out of yourself. One is share before you're ready. You don't have to have a spit and polished and finished idea to put it forward. And to the leaders out there that are expecting that all the time, change your way of thinking. Okay? An unpolished idea that comes forward that everybody can participate in finishing is much more valuable than you coming in with it done the way that you think it should be done. So share before you're ready. Share more than you think you have to. Bring more to the table each time. Not just the technical aspects of things, but the feeling side of things as well. That's going to help tremendously in helping people open up to you and building a culture of teamwork that will be far more beneficial and actually give you a bit of a competitive edge. Brian mentioned in my introduction, I had the opportunity to run a couple of large multinational organizations. But before that, I had a major failure. Anybody remember the years 2008, 2009? What happened? The largest economic downturn of its time. Well, 2 months before that downturn, I left the corporate gig that I had, which was pretty comfortable, and I bought into a consulting firm. 50% partner. 2 months later, everything went down the tube. I thought I'd ruined our lives. I had 2 young kids. And everything changed for me right away. I realized that I had to be vulnerable and I had to ask for help. And I asked for help with the people that were part of the company. About 15 people on staff at the time. Small engineering company. They came through. I showed vulnerability. I opened up to them. We ended up morphing the company into a whole different one, which was profitable, and about 18 months later got bought out. But I did it by doing that, not by sticking to the old ways. I became vulnerable, opened up, the team did very well for it. So don't be afraid to ask for help as well when needed. 3 key things you can be doing. Now, one of the times I was at the hospital with my mom, she was going through a treatment, I saw this figure over in the corner by the window. And just for perspective, it's about 8 feet tall. So I want you to have a look at that for a minute. What I got out of that figure was that is us. That is our true selves right there. All the wounds, all the different scars that we might have, good things, bad things, ugly things that happen to us. We are a mosaic of everything that's happened to us so far. And in thinking about becoming the very best version of ourselves, in thinking about potentially becoming legendary, we need to remember that becoming yourself is a process, right? We have to recognize that becoming is a process, not a goal. There's no ending to it. It's ongoing. It's like that ongoing project that you have. It never ends, does it? Just keeps going and going. They make additions, they make changes, on and on and on. Well, that's ourselves. That's how we become legendary. That's how we become the very best version of ourselves. So while Mom was in the hospital, I trained. Can you get a bit of volume on this one for me, Gregory, please? Just a little bit there. I trained 5, sometimes 6 days a week in the training side of things. And we kept training and training. I began adapting. I became vulnerable to some of my weaknesses as well going forward. And the entire time realizing that although it was difficult, I was becoming a better version of myself. And it was necessary if I was going to step in the ring and be successful in my end goal. I learned all these things, and they all came together over time. You know, we need to learn and be able to work within the shadows. Because success is not built in the spotlight, people. It's not built here. It's all the work that you do in the background. And if you want to advance your career, and you want a better career, and you want to do better yourselves, you have to do the work internally. That's what it takes sometimes. You have to step up to that yourself. That's highly important for us. Okay? So remember that. Now, there's one thing standing in the way of most people changing. Most people don't change. I heard it. Thank you. Fear. We're fearful. We don't like to admit it, but we are. Fear is the number one reason that people don't change and grow. Fearful of failure. FOMO. Not looking good. There's all sorts of reasons, but fear is the number one. Well, I'm here to tell you right now, 90% of the fears you have never come true, and they never will. They're just in your head. So you have options. You can fear everything and run, or you can face everything and rise. And I want you to rise. Now, you can imagine when I was boxing and training, I went back and watched every Rocky movie there was, right? I love the Rocky movies still. And then that went into the Creed movies and all the other ones. And we were talking about boxing over at our table beforehand here. Apparently, I'm not to bring Dawn up on the stage or I'm going to get in trouble. Dawn, one of our directors, apparently can't bring you up on stage for a demonstration. So fear is a big one. And in that movie, Sylvester Stallone says to the trainer, to the boxer at the time, he says, those 3 steps up into the ring will be the most fearful you'll take. So you've got to push past that barrier and understand your fear. I'll give you a hint too. You want to write down your fear. Write it down. I'm going to show you something. This is what I call an accountability card, which you can have as well. It's on my website if you want to go there and look it up. It's an accountability card where you write down your goal, your fear, and then 3 actions you're going to take. And you hold yourself accountable for that. Because we know if you write down anything, you're closer to getting it achieved, aren't you? It makes it happen much more often if you can write it down. So remember that anytime you're coming up against a challenge like this, we have to overcome our fears, and you can. Okay? Fear is not the absence of courage, it's acting in spite of it. A lot of people ask me, first off, well, how do you get up on stage in front of people? Aren't you scared? How do you step into a ring with an opponent where you could potentially get injured or knocked out? Well, sometimes you just have to have the courage first and let the fear come later. You just have to do it. Now, I don't need a show of hands for this, but I know you're thinking about it right now. There's been a change you've been thinking about. Maybe for weeks, months, maybe years. You've been afraid to do it. Write down what your fear is. Write down what the worst thing possible could happen. And then see how belittled it gets and smaller it gets so you can get past it. You can drive past your fear. That's the most important part about fear. We can conquer it and move forward. So be courageous. And there's one more thing we can do. It's called harnessing fear energy. It's when you take fear, which you can probably see in that first photo of me, and you look and you turn it around. There's an energy in fear that we can utilize ourselves. Turn it right around. Name the fear, turn it around, and then get it going forward for yourself in your direction. Turn fear into a force. I was fearful of losing my mom to cancer. That was quite a fear. That got me a little bit angry, and I was able to take that fear and turn it around. I also thought about how fearful she was compared to me. What was I doing compared to her, laying in a hospital bed? Right? How bad is your fear? Get over it. Move along. Be courageous. You've got it within you. You just got to bring it out. I want to share with you a couple other techniques that you can be using in becoming legendary, in becoming the very best version of yourself. Let me show you here. And the first one is visualization. Visualization. How many people are familiar with visualization? You probably do it yourselves quite a bit without even thinking about it. But it's highly important and it can help us reach our goals. Visualization. I've visualized over and over and over success. Whatever challenge you're up against, whatever change you're going through, visualize the end result over and over and over. So well that you know what it smells like, what it tastes like, what it feels like. That's visualization, because I'll tell you something else about the brain. Being a doctor, which I'm not, the brain doesn't know the difference between what you imagine and think over and over and what actually happened. You can actually trick your brain. How many people have had dreams and woken up in the middle of it and felt exactly like whatever that dream was giving them? Right? Imagine that you felt that. Sometimes you get up angry. Why did that person do that to me? And you're angry. It didn't happen. But your brain thinks that it did. You can use that through visualization. So use visualization and your dream and write it down. The next thing is self-talk. How many thoughts a day do we have? They've got it down to about 65,000 thoughts a day. They also know that between 75 and 80% of them are negative. Our self-talk is terrible. We're telling our things negative things all the time when we talk to ourselves on a regular basis. Negative, negative, negative. We can turn that around into positive talk. The rest of the world's going to beat you down enough. You don't need to do it to yourself inside your head. Each time you get a negative thought, turn that around into a positive. Self-talk is so important to us. So important that my coach taught me a lesson. He said to me, you're going to have a lot of thoughts, a lot of negative thoughts of fear. What I want you to do is talk to yourself, not listen to yourself. Because when we listen to ourselves, it's all negative. But we can turn that around and talk to ourselves and tell ourselves, no, I'm better than that. I'm going to be successful. I'm going to do well. I'm going to be healthy. That is positive self-talk that we need on a regular basis. Like this. I am the greatest. I said that even before I knew I was. Who said that? Yeah, Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali would talk that way, increasingly positive all the time. He'd talk about wins and victories when he didn't even have them yet. Was he being arrogant? No. He was just being supportive of thoughts in his head to help make it happen. And that's how we have to think on a regular basis when we come up against challenges, and especially fear. Now, here's what I want to show you here, is that in this room we have, from what I've seen in the show of hands and talking to you out here in the vendor area as well, we've got a bunch of doers, not talkers. And you see the doers, they look a little wrinkled there. They look a little weathered, don't they? Because they've been used extensively. But we want to be a doer going forward, not a talker. Talkers don't get much done. We want to be able to show people and really be a doer. So action is the foundational key of success. You need to take action. So when you leave here today, take some sort of action. Do something different. Write down your goals. Write down your dreams. Write down where you're going to be successful. Write down your fear and make it real. Now, on your journey, you're going to run into challenges. It's not going to be easy. I don't expect it to be easy for you. Challenges are going to arise. Barriers are going to happen. They're going to confront you on a regular basis. We need to be able to punch through those as well. I'll share a time when I ran into those barriers myself during my journey. The bell rang to end the second last round. My arms felt like lead to my side, just as my opponent got one more shot in. I was exhausted. I turned to head back to my corner, and I could hear the crowd of over 500 people cheering loudly. And I knew that ringside were my two sons, Evan and Max, and my 85-year-old father, but no mom. I got back to the corner, and the trainer just got out the stool in time for me to collapse into it. I was exhausted. I didn't know if I could fight another round. You ever felt that way? It was at that very moment a shadow appeared over my shoulder. And it was my mentor, my leader, my coach, Virgil. And he said three things to me, three important things at that time. First off, he said to me, I know you're exhausted. I know this is far more than you ever imagined it would be. Then he asked me a question. He said, why are you here? I said, to win. He said, you're here to fight for those who can't. Then he asked me, whose name is on your dedication plaque? And I looked up at him. I had blood and sweat stinging my face. I said, my mom's. He said, why? I said, breast cancer. He gave me a knowing nod. No sooner did the bell ring and I shot up out of that stool into the middle of the ring again to continue on the fight that I had started. What were the 3 key things he did for me during that short intermission in between rounds? First thing he did was empathize with me. If you've got people going through challenges, including yourself, be empathetic to yourself. Don't be so hard on yourself. Change and growth is difficult. The second thing he did, he realigned my passion with my purpose. He reminded me why I was there. And that was so important to me, that it wasn't about me. It was about the others who couldn't fight. And then the third and final thing, well, he just revved me back up again. Sent me back out there, bubbled up the anger a little bit. And that was okay. So overcoming barriers is going to be a big part of your challenge as you grow and as you learn. Don't think it's going to be easy. Nothing worthwhile is. It takes a tremendous amount of work to get to where you want to be. Okay, so that's me in the round fighting cancer. I was in the red, by the way. I was the red guy. Just to be clear, I was in the red. So fulfilling your goal isn't easy, but you can get there. This photo is very important to me. These are my sons and my dad during that fight as well. And why this is important to me, and it should be to you too, is that you never want to mute your brilliance to make others comfortable. The world doesn't need a quieter you. It needs the truer you, the real you. And that's what you need to bring out through this process as well, of being very authentic. That's going to be a really big deal. Don't mute yourself for others. When I thought about it after, am I showing up my sons that maybe can't do this? No, you're leading them. You're showing them the way. You're showing others, not to do what you did, but to do what they want to do. That's what it's all about at the end of the day. So it's vitally important that we do it that way. So when it comes to this as well, we want to make sure that you got support. I had a coach in my corner, a mentor. Does anybody have a coach? Anybody have a mentor? Okay, not enough hands. Get yourself one. Get yourself a coach, a mentor, a leader. Don't do this alone. I'm not sure what makes people think that they can do this alone. Do you think I could step in that ring alone and go through all of that? No. What about professional athletes? How many coaches do they have? And they're at the top of their game. Even if you're at the top of your game, get a coach, get a mentor, get somebody that's going to help and support you. That's my sister, by the way. She really enjoyed that. She really enjoyed putting on the gloves and punching me at a gala event when we were raising money for it. When you get a coach or a mentor, you're going to be 4 times more likely to actually be successful. It's going to make a world of difference for you. Okay? So we need to look at that going forward. And don't be afraid to share. We always want to be sure that we're sharing sharing your goals, sharing your dreams. These things are so important to us. Now, we have the opportunity this afternoon, to actually honor somebody who has been exemplifying all of the things that I'm talking about right now. An individual that many of you know. Many of you have told me and said, boy, he's one of my favorite people in the world. And he's somebody to look up to. Somebody who obviously has adapted themselves, been very authentic in the way that they approach things, and very vulnerable as well. And I want to bring that individual up on stage here and just recognize the incredible things that he's done so far. Is Ben in the room with us today? Where's Ben hiding? There he is, Ben. Come on up on stage for us, Ben, please. All right. There's an old Greek proverb, and it says, a society grows great when men plant trees whose shade they know they shall never sit under. This is a gentleman. Please give a round to Ben coming up on stage for us here. Ben, very good. Test 1, 2. You get me up on this one too? Test 1, 2. Ben, say hi and tell a little bit about yourself, please. In one moment, actually. Hang on a minute. I'm going to read this first. I want to read this. This was given to me, and it was very well written. Through the careful work of sorting, scanning, and searching each photo, Ben is preserving our history and making it accessible for future generations. Your attention to detail, from documenting each image to safely archiving the originals, ensures these stories are not lost. Ben is a powerful reminder that growth is built in the shadows, not the spotlight. I'm giving it to him today, though, because we need to. Sometimes it's found in the dedication, consistency, and commitment to protecting the legacy of those who came before us. Ben, you're truly legendary. Thank you so much for all the work that you do. It's wonderful. I've got a copy of my book here that I want you to have as well. And just tell a little bit about what you do for everybody in this room, because some don't know you, but others do and really love you. So go ahead.
I love transportation. And that didn't come easy to me, because when I started in 1970 in the drafting division, section of the design division, where I was drawing plans by hand using a pen with ink that I whittled, or not whittled, but honed the point down to fit my hand, it came to me throughout those years. And one truth I have found about transportation here is that surface transportation always was, currently is, and forever will be the most important thing in this place we call North Dakota. And you are all part of that. And helping to preserve that history, making it accessible to every one of you out there, if you're looking for information or something, has been truly an honor. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ben, so much. Give it up for Ben, please, everybody, and the great work you do. Thank you so much, Ben. Continued success. Thank you. You know, when you have an example of somebody who's pushed themselves and done great things like that, and the other thing we didn't talk about today is humility, obviously very humble, but great work. And if you have the opportunity, as I did earlier today, to hear Ben speak, please go and hear him. What a great speaker he is, and the knowledge that he's sharing to the next generations as well. Super important for us. So now I want to give you a little bit of an update here. An update on the journey that I've taken you on so far. And it's very important that we do that, because we set goals to achieve them and come as close as we can. Through my 8 months of training, the fighting in the ring that you saw as well, all the events that we held, my goal is to end cancer in our lifetime. Now, that hasn't occurred yet, but I'm going to continue on trying and doing everything I can to do so. This particular event, after the Gala Vegas-style events and the fights and everything, raised over $1 million towards cancer research. So all of those that are fighting cancer right now, or know somebody that is, that money's going to go towards that research, which is vitally important. I often get asked as well, less important, but...
Your winner is, from the red corner,
Yeah. I won my fight, which was one of the goals that I had. And I worked hard toward. And that was important. But not nearly as important as the fact that my mom's cancer is in remission. So I'm very pleased. Thank you. Thank you for that. In fact, Mom turns 90 this summer, and Dad's still around too at 92. So there's some longevity in the family there, which is good. But remember that success, whatever you're after, success favors the courageous. You have to get outside your comfort zone, make some major changes, and push yourself. Yeah, fall down 7 times, get up 8. Keep going. It's not easy. But what's worse is lying on your deathbed with regrets of all the things you thought about or wanted to do. Believe me, I've been in enough nursing homes to hear it. Okay? Make sure that you live that life. Make sure that you make the changes that you want to going forward. That's what you can do to become the very best version of yourself. Understanding that there's a code to this, engineers. There's a formula to this. All right? Make sure that you protect yourself. Make sure that you pivot when necessary. Make sure that you punch back as well against the things that you need to. That's the reinvention code. And I share it with you today so that you can be successful as well, so that you can be legendary, that when you leave this room, make the changes necessary so that you can grow into the person that you want to be and become like Ben and become legendary. That's the reinvention code, and I give it to you today. Thank you very much. Bring that up. Good. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.